The bus stop Viale Liguria on the Circunvallazione is an auspicious one for foodies. Going down the east side of the Naviglio Pavese on Via Ascanio Sforza are the Osteria Grand Hotel, the Michelin-starred restaurant Sadler, as well as Claudio Sadler's casual dining trattoria Chic and Quick, which has featured several times on my vlog in earlier seasons. The west side of the Naviglio, Alzaia Naviglio Pavese, was where I was going this time. Some 200 meters south of the bus stop, one comes to Via Imperia, home to my dinner destination, Distreat. It was warmer in Milan than on my first few days, but still far too cold to be sitting in the courtyard, as on my last visit. So we were all seated in the sparely decorated, but still cozy, rooms upstairs. It's the kind of place where I immediately feel at home, so I settled in to study the menu. It tends not to be long, but the choices are usually hard ones. My ear-related dizziness problems hadn't gone away, so I was still abstaining from any alcohol, alas. I started out with a tartare of young Mediterranean tuna, which rested on the left side of a long streak of burnt red pepper sauce. On top of the tuna tartare were a few squiggles of mayonnaise flavored with smoked bacala, along with a ring or two of green onion and a large paprika-sprinkled polenta chip. I can eat a lot of tuna tartare if it's this good and this fresh. But I have to confess that I could probably go through an entire bowl of those polenta chips, as long as there was enough burnt pepper sauce to dip them into. The primi posed exactly the kind of difficult choice I referred to before. For example, there was a risotto with baked figs, the famous raw sausage salsiccia di Bra, hazelnuts, and a marsala reduction. Normally, that would have been my instant first choice, but I had had a risotto at lunch and decided to go with an unusual pasta primo instead. It also sounded intriguing. Spaghetti with clams, smoked butter, peaches, and basil. The peaches, cubed with their skin on, along with the basil, made for a colorful topping, and I knew I was going to need all the bread on the table to soak up the sauce at the bottom. When the waiter came to take my empty plate away, we did have a brief discussion about the amount of salt in the pasta. He said the chef had salted generously so the sweetness of the peaches wouldn't overwhelm the sea flavor of the clams. I wasn't entirely convinced, I have to admit. I found it too salty, and thought I probably would have been happier with the risotto. But there will be plenty of other great risotti on their menu on future visits. Game for my secondo. It had been another tough call, but I opted for the leg of fallow deer. Whenever it's on a menu, I'm likely to go for game. Here the deer thigh was served in thin slices along with oyster mushrooms. Both mushrooms and deer rested on a bed of sweet potato puree flavored with Distreat's homemade barbecue sauce. These rich autumnal dishes generally have dark colors, which aren't so photogenic, but they're always immensely satisfying comfort food, and I used the last of my remaining bread to mop up the last drops of barbecue sauce. As is the case so often, I craved a light dessert afterwards. So this was an easy choice, what the menu listed as watermelon, tomato, and basil. The waiter explained the details. On the bottom, a round of basil-flavored short crust pastry, 3 different types of tomato, raw green tomato, marinated yellow, and candied red tomato. Everything was bathing in watermelon water. And those off-white coils on the watermelon were Greek yogurt. As refreshing as a sorbet with more texture contrast, without being quite so cold. A nice way to end yet another enjoyable dinner at Distreat. I look forward to my next visit, when I also hope to be able to partake of their legendary collection of rare digestivi.